Pisces. Been meaning to get these videos out. Been going through my month, going through my March. Because I'm seeing these videos, you know, this is a beautiful thing, you know. These readings are very powerful. These tarot messages can be very powerful. Therapeutic, simple, just as good, you know, as other things, you know. People swear up and down about their spiritual practices, you know, their spiritual routines, you know. And hey, if it helps you not go crazy and hurt people, more power to you. But, you know, we're just getting better at getting along. So let's get on to this message, your message from March 2026, Pisces. You know, holding on through all that vagueness. Aquarius video is about them not knowing, not needing to know is dysfunctional, not needing to be aware of something being balanced, something being imbalanced. Damn. So this was, I believe, Capricorn, present energy. Now here's your challenge. Funny. Not saying the same thing, but all my messages do come down to emotional regulation. Because through controlling yourself, you see where you're slipping up somehow. Through emotional regulation, you somehow find where you're slipping up. Crazy. Good thing about starting this game, starting this life we're going to have some dysfunctions. But through this spirituality, we become aware of it. Then we become aware to not react to it. Then we become aware that focus, attention, the way of observing life is leaving us. We're letting go of this. But then the next stage is what to do when we are focusing on letting go and when the news coming in, because this is our challenge, keeping the discipline. But this present energy feels like we're not even helpful to ourselves or able to be involved in the game. No effort, what's the word? Inertia, stimulation, action. All chilling, all relaxing, all laying back. Not letting our emotions jump in and decide, you know, what's going on. Here is the outcome. I know. I'm glad I put all my messages. I set this for Capricorn's video. I put my messages into ChatGPT to make sure I'm not repeating anything. You know, I have found I'm repeating the philosophy of self-regulation, which, yeah, all these spiritual tools help you regulate yourself. It helps you step outside of yourself. All this is for controlling yourself. You know, I mean, if you want to predict money in relationships, it's like it would all come if you had regulation. You know how to regulate yourself, control yourself. You would make the right moves in these situations because you know how to be yourself. But Think about that. Using spirituality, using tarot and astrology to get dates when you are already the person who can get that. If you trust yourself, right? Anyway, back to the message. Because these tools, we're using them against ourselves. Or using them against our emotions. To feed our emotions. So yes, the hard part of the game is when you need to be more disciplined when the situation hasn't turned around yet. And now it's just starting to look like a bunch of saying the same shit. When it's you actually trying to make sense of it, because you're trying to be useful. You're tired of not feeling useful in this life, in this day-to-day. It's going to require more non-action, more non-involvement that gets you involved somehow. I know it's unfair, but it's fair. The beautiful thing is, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about it. But we choose to. I know I'm not just saying shit. I'm making sense. The game comes down to reminding yourself. You can win the game if you remind yourself to do this. If your reminder, if your saved reaction, this is going to become your saved reaction. This is what you will do in this month of March. When things happen, this card means this is the reaction you'll run to. You want to run to reacting like this. This has nothing to do with me. I am secure. I am away from the situation. That is an emotional reaction you want. That is a, what do you call that? It is a tick you want to fall back on. You know, they say ticks are bad. You want to have a tick. If you want to have any type of tick, have a tick that allows you to think to yourself, this has nothing to do with me, and I am elsewhere. I am stable. I am solid. I'm in great standing, and I am elsewhere. I am not here. And I'm not worried here. That's what you want your mind to run to. This card means what your mind will literally, routinely beeline to. Reaction, routine. For some reason, that's what I believe this card is. That's what it represents. So that's going to be what's going to help you this month. If you routinely believe that, have things in your environment that show you you're secure, you're abundant, you do not have to worry about that. This spirituality shows us how much we really fuck with ourselves. You know. Yep. And sometimes we have things we want that make fucking with ourselves look like a bad option. That's beautiful. That's really good to have these things make us worry about. Damn, I'm going to still have to be going through this game, not having the feelings I want to have, but it's like you're not trying to ride out yourself. You're not trying to remain yourself. Yeah. Best outcome. Best outcome. Remember this, there was in the beginning of the video, the Four Pentacles, I'll show you, was the bottom of the deck. So this is beautiful because this consciousness is serious. It's like its own chemistry lab where the equipment changes just as much as our emotions and the environment. Like everything, our tools constantly change, our emotions constantly change, our environment dynamics are constantly changing. This is what we have to work with as our lab. Only makes it more fun, You get the point I was trying to make. I probably can't even find this card. Okay. You're going to find progress in all this, though. This is, imagine, if you're in a chemistry lab, all the chemicals, even the equipment, even the person experimenting on it, all were changing at all times. How can you keep track of such things? How could you keep track? The chemical state, the emotional state you're at, or what reaction it'll bring out of you, right? What if we were the state that had to be expected of and kept contained so we don't react? Somehow, being like the equipment we're putting the chemicals into. Which is why discipline is so important, because you're trying to contain yourself, contain your lower self from messing up the good. So keep staying away from what you feel about the situation. Keep staying away from what you believe is happening. The reaction will be obvious enough. Our analyzation has nothing to do with it. That's why the challenge is you holding it down. This is you, and you doing this is you being, the container, the scientific glass that holds the acid and stuff. Like, you're containing your own acid, right? Your own destructive chemical, your own self. This is your present energy, though. So maybe it means who you are only sees what you're not getting, which means you don't want to fuck with yourself. I said for Aquarius, their message means they may be dealing with low self-esteem, which, yeah. And now the only way to deal with that is just keep your attention away from it. That's all you can do. So it's a scary game. I know I'm making sense. I know I'm making sense though. So, and the more you do this, the more you become the chemical and the container. You are containing your own chemical reaction somehow. You're your own chemical that changes states and reacts to yourself while maintaining and containing yourself. So essentially, allow yourself to be chemistry alive, living chemistry. Allow life to cause these reactions while at the same time not taking them personal. Because that stops everything. What if taking it personal, somehow like putting the worst chemical like inside the glass? Like, so our personal feelings, is it that they can never be taken in? Or because like what happens to us can be utilized to help the story move forward. It's funny, that's why you watch out for these people talking about being a macho man, and life is different. Sometimes you have to ebb, sometimes you gotta flow. It might not be the best move to be so courageous and overly aggressive about something. even I understand. Some people don't have to yell to prove they're aggressive. You just, in fact, you don't even got to address anything. Truly. Something powerful about that. Not doing the obvious and still getting the understood reaction. People understanding and reacting accordingly. So powerful. What I say makes sense. You're not going to be left vague and confused. But that is what we have to go through. If vague was a vase, we somehow have to have discipline and gain. So lately, I've been wanting to stay away from being overly disciplined. I want to do my best to get straight to the work when I wake up, right? First thing when I wake up, see if I can remember to stick to the routine with the raw inspiration. Raw, I just woke up, I'm kind of tired inspiration, because that's where it's all at. Getting that moved is very powerful. Moving yourself when you really don't feel like it, when you really don't feel like you're worth it, when you really don't feel like you have a right, somehow moving out of your way to not feel negative, to not feel insecure, or feel like training, doing the routine, progressing. It's all feelings and states that require you to, not worry about yourself. Forgive me, Pisces. I know I'm saying something very important, tangible. You can grasp this. You can feel this. We are the chemical we have to work with and allow to be reacted and test. So thankfully, these messages will help you see yourself and understand when you're actually meeting the ebb, or flow of the situation, and not care about what people outside are trying to say. It's about our own chemical reactions, not their reactions. That's what I was saying about the reaction, the mentality you have to go to. Was those first two cards. Well, not first two, but these cards will indicate a reaction you may want to have when things happen. Before I get off the camera, yeah, oh boy, where is it at? Almost. There we go. Okay. And right. So it was this one. And this. Oh my God. Sorry about this. There you go. Sorry about that. These two reactions you need to have in order. So imagine, I'm giving you, when they make fun of those people who, you're so selfish, you're so self-absorbed, you're so, doesn't mean you don't care, it just means you're not going to let yourself be plagued. And this is how you progress. Don't let yourself be plagued. Because essentially it's like yourself needs to be ignored, right? For the greater good. for the new attributes you want to access. The old you needs to be ignored while the new you is building. But it's like a language. You need to be aware to an extent. You know, a new version of yourself. You don't know the new self, so you can only be aware to an extent until it's fully you. So you can't have full awareness because you need to be fully absorbed to be fully aware. Like you can't be fully aware of what you're turning into because you can't be fully aware. What I'm doing is the most you could probably get close to is being aware of your progress, of your chemical changes. You still have to go through the month. Like if we were peeling ourselves, I have to describe how you'll know you're cutting too far into yourself. You know, a good psychological peeling of your layers, healthy way to peel yourself. But you'd have to know how much you're cutting, how much is you cutting too deep into yourself. So this type of work is hard because you have to really know yourself and give a fuck about actually getting better with yourself. To let go of yourself at the same time when it seems like you're losing yourself. To know you're gaining yourself even though you're letting go of yourself, reacting to how people perceive you, you know, yourself. To gain. It's so funny. So I'm gonna get off the camera because I know what I'm saying is making sense. So later, y'all. There's your March 2026 message.